Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder, coming to you live from Kentucky Speedway for round 9, and we're about to go into qualifying, but before we do, I'll introduce you to my co-host tonight, and it's Danny Trim. Welcome Danny, it's going to be another exciting night of NASCAR action.
Thank you Bernie, and good evening to you and all our viewers out there. It is, mate, I'm so excited for tonight. Short track racing.
Yeah, 1.5 mile is the length of Kentucky, and you had a bit of a run out there earlier today, didn't you? And it's pretty bumpy track.
Oh, look, it did. It's that bumpy. As you're coming up to the start-finish line, you can actually lose your vision, Bernie. It's incredible. It's a real workout for those guys with the direct drive wheels.
Yeah, and they'll definitely get that workout. Over 75 laps is the distance tonight, folks. Yellow caution periods, I would say, will be definite tonight at some point. How many we get, well, that's another story. Now, it was interesting, you're speaking to Roger before the race tonight, and he was talking about the car and the setup. And basically, I think what you're telling me is he said you'll get 5 to 10 laps and then the car will start to get tight. So I'm just seeing if Danny's there.
Oh, sorry, Bernie. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was cut out.
I cut out or you cut out?
I cut out. Bernie, my headphones, I lost them for a second.
Oh, okay, no worries. So, yeah, I was just saying Roger was talking about how this car's going to get tight after about 5 to 10 laps around here.
Yes, it does. Look, as the race wears on, and in a very quick period, the cars are going to change incredibly. It's you're either going to have to set your car up for the beginning stages of the run, or hope for long periods without caution and set the car up for long term.
Yeah, and you can see now the guys are coming out to start their qualifying, but before we get into that, let's check out the standings over here, because it's quite interesting. At the moment, Jake Blackwell, he's leading 328 points, so it's interesting. 3 wins. Average start, he starts deeper in the field, about 6th. Average finish, he's round about 3rd. So expect him to move forward tonight. Jason Martin, however, he's also won 3. His average start, he does very well on qualifying and generally starts up there. But average finish down around about 5th, and these could be skewed a little bit because there was a big accident a couple of rounds ago. But if we have a look at the point score here, folks, Jake Blackwell's leading 328 points to Jason Martin on 271, and Dave Douglas sitting there in 3rd on 253. Now, the only other 2 drivers to have won a round was Kai Sloggett. That was 2 rounds ago, but the one to watch tonight, I think, Danny, is what's his name, Mr. Micklemore, because he's got the pace once again tonight, and he won on debut last week.
The guy has speed, and I presume after his win last week, he'll be absolutely pumped. He'll spend quite a bit of time running for the first laps.
Yeah, definitely. I might get you to turn the volume of your microphone up if you can, Danny, because you're being drowned out by the NASCARs at the moment.
I'll see what I can do there.
Yeah, no worries. So let's have a look at our qualifying as the guys are going at the moment. So I'll bring them up. We have a bumper field here tonight, folks, of around about 38. Let's have a look. 38 cars, and they've got 10 minutes to qualify, and in that time they'll get 2 flying laps. So you'll see a few of them will come out early, like at the moment Stephen Williams in the beautiful Nightmare on Elm Street livery. He's just gone out and done his 2 laps. He's qualified 5th at the moment, and his best time was a 30.814. The other drivers that have already qualified, and I'll bring them up now for you, is Scott Butler. He's on provisional pole, 30.721. James Foster just 400ths of a second behind him in second. Matt Clowett sitting in third at the moment. Tim Fultuz, I think that's it, in fourth, and then Steve Williams on camera. He's sitting in fifth position at the moment.
And Tim Fultz has actually come out of the box and showed quite a bit of pace. His practice time was only a 30.7, which set him in 14th, and he's already sitting in fourth with a 30.7 again.
Yeah, so he's done a really good lap, hasn't he? We can see now on screen Edward Foster. He's qualified 8th on his second lap of running, so his best time of 30.916 puts him up to 8th. Now he's been pushed down to 9th because Matt Clout has put in a time of 30.775.
Certainly looking very close out there.
It certainly is. We've got Darren McKenzie now. He's qualified on his first lap 14th. We'll see if he can improve here. He's coming into the final corners now, folks, and let's see if he can get that Build Partners entry up into the top 10 as he comes off the final corner now. And we'll see what sort of time he can do. Straight down the apron, 30.998. That's only good enough for 12th.
Yes, he's actually gone a 10th slower than he managed in qualifying, in practice style.
Yes, it'll be interesting to see how he goes tonight. And of course, 75 laps qualifying. Oh, as we see now, Dylan Shepherd out there. He's got it all sorts of loose, and that's not going to bode well for his start. He's qualified 21st, and he lost it on the second flying lap.
Yes, yet he still posted a better time. Oh no, sorry, 30.9 in practice on a 31.6 in qualifying.
Yeah, and he's having a lot of net code issues out there too, and you could just see him flashing there. And big shout out, George Gibbs from the United States has joined us once again. Good morning, George, and welcome aboard, mate. And we're having a bit more NASCAR action here tonight, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But we can see now Riley Curtis, he's on his warm-up lap at the moment, and he's seeded 24th, so we'll see what he can do.
Riley's practice time was a 30.865.
30.865, so that's going to put him in. He would be looking at round about 8th or 9th with his with that sort of practice time. We'll see now he's coming through onto the final corner to post the first lap here. Interesting, he's not using right down onto the apron, and he did a 30.681, throws him straight up to provisional pole. Absolutely scorching lap by Riley Curtis.
And it was. He's the only driver to have actually dipped into the sixes.
Yeah, and he just dipped in, but Thomas Hinds, he's jumped up to second now with his 30.708. So both of these guys have pushed Scott Butler down to third. James Foster's been pushed to fourth, and Wayne Taylor is the last of the top 10.
Looking at the way the trend is actually going, Bernie, it almost looks like the track is actually getting better the later they've taken it to qualify.
Yeah, that's going to be quite interesting, isn't it? And we'll see, because one thing I love about the qualifying here, they get 10 minutes, 2 flying laps. You see a lot of the guys will come out early and post them, then other guys will come out late. But Josh Micklemore now, I mentioned him at the start of the broadcast, winning on debut last week. He's just posted, well, he just got pipped by Jason Martin, but he's sitting in second at the moment with a 30.582. Jason Martin pushed him out, and he's on his second flying lap with a 30.486.
It's definitely the later cars that are getting the better times.
It definitely is, and having a look out there to see where Jake Blackhall is at the moment, he's also on track, so we'll keep an eye on him. And Jason Martin there just completing his qualifying. But let's have a look at Jake Blackhawk, because of course he's sitting first in the championship, and he hit the wall there, and he bailed out. This is going to be very costly for Jake. He's seeded at the moment 31st, and it looks like he's going to be starting deep in the field.
Look, Jake is a seasoned driver. No matter what car he's in, he's consistent and quick. I've no doubt, being at the back of the field, he will somehow use that as an advantage.
Yeah, well, we've seen him before come through the field, and that's what he's best known for. Doesn't qualify as well as Jason, but when it comes to the long run, he is known to come through that field. As Dave Douglas now gets it loose, and is he going to head onto it? No, into the wall he goes on that second lap, but the first one was enough to put him in third with a 30.619. The one thing it does show here, Danny, is these cars, once they get loose, there's not a lot they can do about it.
Now look, the trucks, or as we know them here as utes, it's common knowledge, they're just light in the back. Once it gets loose, they just start coming around, and then it's pretty much goodbye from there.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're seeing now with Dave Douglas. We saw it with Dylan Shepherd. We're having a look at Daniel Stevens out here at the moment. He's just starting his flying laps now. He's down there in 35th, and let's see what sort of a time he can post. I thought Daniel Stevens had the nice Nightmare on Elm Street, but that might be another Stevens.
That was Stephen Williams.
Stephen Williams. I knew there was a Stephen in there somewhere. So, Danny, what do you think we're going to expect here tonight at Kentucky?
Look, I'm expecting a lot of close packed racing. The track being only the 2.5 kilometre, 1.5 mile surface, there's just nowhere to make a breakaway. If you break away, you're going to just be lapping cars straight away. And then, as we know, that's always dangerous.
Yeah, it definitely is. And the other danger, I guess, is if you come in under green and then caution's thrown, you could be in all sorts of trouble.
Absolutely. You look at those lap times, 30 seconds a lap, Bernie. How long would it take you to traverse down pit lane, put the car up on the jacks, fix or repair, refill, new tyres, whatever it is you choose to do? That's a lot of time gone.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we better get onto this grid, because I tell you what, we're not going to have a lot of time to get through this field. So let's have a look, folks, where your favourite driver will be starting. On row 1 tonight, we have Jason Martin. He set pole on a 30.486. Josh Mickelmore, keep an eye on him, and in the second, and he'll be starting next to him on the front row. In the second row tonight, out of third, will be Dave Douglas. He's joined by Riley Curtis on the outside. James Zeitz, he will start out of the third row back there in fifth, with Thomas Hinz. He will be starting next to him in sixth. Out of seventh tonight will be Scott Butler and James Foster out of eighth. Keep an eye on Matt Clote as the race goes on tonight. Out of ninth with Tim Fultools, I think that's how we pronounce it, in 10th. Out of 11th tonight, Danny, we've got Stephen Williams, and then Jeff Rayleigh, he rounds out our top 12.
It's certainly a very close field out there. The only car you can see that has actually already made that breakaway is Jason Martin in pole with the 30.4 that he posted.
Yeah, exactly right, and we'll continue through the field here, folks. David Webb, he's going to start out of 13th. Wayne Taylor, he'll start out of 14th. Out of 15th tonight, we have Phil Otto, and then Edward Foster starting midfield in 16th position. Braden Bateman will start out of 17th. Ian Ford, too, he will start out of 18th tonight. Out of 19th, we have Darren McKenzie, and 20th will be Ryan Kolstad. Out of 21st, Jared Farrell and Scotty Harris will start out of 22nd. Out of 23rd tonight is Bruce Ross, and next to him will be Craig Lawless. Starting out of 25th on the inside will be Sam Ross, and then we've got Joshua Carroll Walden starting on the outside in 26th. Out of 27th is Daniel Stevens and Dylan Shepherd. We saw him get loose. He'll be starting out of 28th. Brian James Jones will start out of 29th. Jake Blackwell, a lot of work to do, starting in 30th. Out of 31st will be Nicholas Crawford. Then we've got Stephen Catalano starting in 32nd. Out of 33rd will be Norman Clark, and then Danny G will start next to him in 34th. Right behind Norman will be his son Roger, starting out of 35th, and Darren O'Brien will be starting on the outside of Roger in 36th position. Out of 37 tonight will be Steve Hoggett, and rounding out our field of 38 will be Rodney Morris. So we've got another awesome field out here, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys go. We can see now the safety car is in, and we're going to be going racing very, very shortly. As we can see now, we're under green. Jason Martin goes, and Josh Mickelmore follows him at the moment with Dave Douglas in the third.
It's good to see with a nice clean start, Bernie. No accidents, no one pushing too early.
Yeah, it's a nice start, and they'll get the momentum up. We can see further down the field, and we'll go through our top 10 as they stand. Then we'll go deeper into the field. So at the moment we've got Jason Martin. He is leading this race at the moment. Josh Mickelmore in second. Dave Douglas sitting there in third. Then we have Riley Curtis in the 93. Thomas Hinds, he started quite well there in 5th position, but deeper in the field we've got James Foster now defending from James Zeitz in the 19th. We can also see Scott Butler in the 94 having a look on the inside. Now he comes up, and right behind him is Matt Clough in the 04. And rounding out your top 10 is Tim Fultools, and he's having a great battle with the 71.
Tim Fultz, he's always one of those competitors. You've just sort of got to keep an eye on him. You know he's going to do well.
Just turn down the volume a bit. These cars definitely know how to scream, and I love the sound of them. But as long as the viewers can hear us, we're all happy. Just having a look out the back of Tim Fultz' car here, and you can just see the different lines. He's pushing already, isn't he? Running about mid-line, and the car behind him, Jeff Rayleigh, he's running down low, then exiting high.
There is this track, although it's a small track, it does have a couple of lines of racing. But as the cars loosen up and the tyres wear, the fuel load comes off, those lines the guys take may very well have to change.
Yeah, and as we said in the pre-race show, the cars tend to tighten after 5 to 10 laps. We are under caution here at Kentucky, folks, so we'll go back and see if we can work out exactly what's going on here. So I'm trying to find who's brought this yellow out. Have you seen anything there, Danny? I think it might have been Bruce Ross, possibly.
No. Probably. His car is at the back of the pack. It is very beat up. It's quite a second-hand looking Toyota, that car.
Yeah, he's been turned. He's been turned big time. We'll go back and have another look at this, and we'll pick up exactly what's happened here. And he was turned around. It looks like Daniel Stevens turned him hard into the wall on the tri-oval there.
Well, he'll be using one of his fast repairs very early in the race, but being only lap 6, that's going to have to hurt him.
Oh yeah, he's going to be dirty, I think, because that was a pretty hard turn in there, and just goes to show how quickly things can change here for you at Kentucky. He's running up the back. Now the question is, this early in the race, you've only got one fast repair. If he uses this, it's going to be a hell of a long night for him.
Well, the only advice I can give him, keep it clean.
Yeah, and we can see now the field is coming in here, folks, for the first pit. What would they be doing here, Danny? Do you reckon they'd be throwing tyres on these, or what would you be doing?
I'd be throwing a set of tyres on, Bernie. While the only time you want to have to pit in this track is under yellow. You try and pit any time under race conditions, that's it. It's good night from there.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the second half of the field stayed out, didn't they? And we'll bring this up so we can get a wider view here. We can see Thomas Hins in the 52. It's coming out the 71. Awesome there. Awesome stop. And that was Jeff Rayleigh. He jumped a couple of cars there coming out behind Thomas Hins. Josh Mickelmore also comes out just ahead of him at the moment, sitting in 19th position because a lot of the guys did not pit. And one of those guys that didn't pit was Jason Martin. Dave Douglas stayed out, so did Riley Curtis. So it's interesting, Josh Mickelmore, he was running about second or third. He chose to come in under yellow.
Look, the benefit that Jason would have had was he's leading the pack. He can command the race. He knows the lines he wants to take. He won't be pushing his tyres because he's got nobody to chase.
Yeah, and one of the viewers was saying there's quite a lot of cars blinking out there. I haven't noticed it, but you know, we did see a few there having connection issues though, didn't we?
We did. Look, from what I can see, Stephen Williams does have a high ping. He's sitting around the 300 mark. The only other high numbers I can see there are James E. Foster with a 133, Jason Martin with a 100, Phil Otto with a 100. Other than that, it just drops down what we're used to seeing on an Australian server.
No, that's right. And you can see the guys are now starting to queue up under the pace car here, and we're going to go back racing very shortly, folks. But let's have a look at your top 10 so you can see who will be starting. So Jason Martin, he'll start on the inside. He's got Dave Douglas beside him on the outside row. And the number 93, keep an eye on Riley Curtis. He does have pace. Right, James Zeitz, he'll start out of the second row in the number 19. Third row, we've got James Foster, and beside him will be Tim Fools. Then we've got Wayne Taylor and Phil Otto and Braden Bateman and Darren McKenzie rounds out your top 10. But it all comes down to how Jason wants to play this, and generally he goes on green, doesn't he?
He does. Look, it's once a driver's led a few races, you look to learn for these things. He'll have his habits. You want to learn them. The safety car's just peeled off now, I can see.
Yep, and he's going. And under green, got a bit messy back there, and just having a look, one of the cars almost collected each other. But a fairly nice start, 3 wide further in the pack. But once again, Jason Martin stringing out the top 5 as they settle in to the single file.
Very good. He actually got quite a good break over Dave Douglas in second place.
Looking further back here, we've got the number 97 on the inside. That's Jake Blackwell. 3 wide they go into turns 3 and 4. So still 3 wide as they come up the straight. Jake Blackwell on the inside of Darren McKenzie. We have the 161 Scotty Harris now coming under threat from the 43, and they're starting to bank up in front of him.
It is, Bernie. As I said earlier, it is going to be packed racing.
Certainly is, but I'll tell you what, check out Jake Blackwell. We were saying in the pre-race show, this guy comes through the field. He started back in 30th. Already he's up to 12th. And the reason for that is he decided to stay out and take those positions.
Well, he's hungry tonight. He messed up his qualifying. He'd be disappointed with himself. He's out for the day.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's basically trying to defend his lead, and he's got to get up onto Jason Martin, who's leading this race at the moment, to ensure that point score doesn't change. At the moment he's on the inside of Darren McKenzie, and he backs out of it because we are under caution once again at Kentucky, and it looks like this might be the way this race is going to go tonight.
Look, it's not going to hurt them. I can see that the action happened there from car 41. He's got loose all by himself, it seems. Oh, no. Car 12 got him from the side of car 41 and spun him round.
Just having a look at this, we can see, there we go, the car 12 just getting into the side of the 41. We're keeping an eye on Edward Foster as well on the 41. Look at him go straight up. Who was that he clouded? The 13. Big time. Edward Foster. All sorts of out of control as he tries to gather it up going down the grass.
Look, once you're on that grass, Bernie, you're a passenger. There's no control in the car. There's no turning it. There's no stopping it. You're just along for the ride.
Yeah, and it looks like Danny G was involved in that as well. He dived to the pits, but I'm trying to get the number 4 up because that was Matt Clote, I think, wasn't it? No, who's the one in the purple? So there you go. That's my technical question for you, Danny. Who's in that purple car?
I can see a CMSR car in the purple, car 88. That's Ryan Colston, currently in 18th position. And he's just pulled into the pits.
Yeah, I'd say it was Ryan. He got absolutely clobbered. No, it wasn't Ryan. Just trying to work out who it was. I should know that paint job. It's very well known paint scheme indeed, but he got caught and pinned to the outside wall there big time.
Wayne Taylor in the WPC West End Mazda truck?
No, it wasn't him
No.
either.
Wow, we've got a lot of purple cars out there tonight, Bernie. It's making it hard.
Just keep on going through them and we'll find them eventually. But I'm having a look deeper in the field here, and it looks like Steve Hopper did not make the grid tonight, so he's not running. And we've got quite a few guys up the back here flashing, and some of those guys is David Webb, as you mentioned earlier, was having some trouble. Bruce Ross was flashing in and out on my telemetry as well, and so is Danny G. But Danny G all the way down here in 27th position.
Okay, we've got another one for you to look at, Bernie. It's car number 1, Phil Otto, currently in 7th place.
Yeah, I found the car. It was Danny G that got pinned up on the wall. He's had to use his fast repair. He's coming back out, but he is flashing big time, and hopefully his ping's going to go down. So it's interesting this time by, folks. Jason Martin, he decided to come in and take tyres. He'll be starting out at 19th. I'm having a look for where Jake Blackhall is at the moment as well, and it looks like he's also stopped to take tyres because he'll be starting out at 25th as he's coming out of the pits now.
Exactly, Bernie. They need to make advantage of these safety cars. Get under the yellows, top that tank up, grab some tyres if the car's feeling like it needs it, and get back out there.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, if they pit under green, they'll be absolutely buried if the other guys don't. And at the moment, the guys rolling the dice, banking on another pace car soon, I'd say, would be Dave Douglas, Riley Curtis, Braden Bateman, James Foster, Scotty Harris, Phil Otto, Darren McKenzie, Dylan Shepherd sitting back there in 8th.
I've just heard Sam Ross say over the comms, you're blinking pretty badly to Daniel Gruzowski there, so it's starting to affect other drivers in the race.
Yeah, the last thing you want to be around is a blinking driver racing NASCAR. A bit of a, what's going on here? We're going green. We're waiting for the pace car to come in. Okay, we are under green, so there you go. Mistake for me. I had it on replay still. So having a look at this at the moment, remember the train. Dave Douglas is leading, Riley Curtis now, and James Foster sitting in there in 14th, wanting to have a good run. The Red Bull racing car though, 3 wide as they come down, the 818 on the inside, Braden Bateman, Dylan Shepherd, and Scotty Harris showing how it's done in Kentucky.
Yes, I can see them 3 wide now, Bernie. And look, they're giving each other a lot of room out there.
Certainly are, and I tell you what, I love Kentucky because it allows this sort of close action as we're riding now with Dylan Shepherd, and he nearly nudged the 818 coming back on the inside of him now, and we'll jump to the other camera view. as they come through the trioval. He's right behind Braden Bateman there, and Braden's doing an awesome job.
Because Braden qualified in 17th position, currently moving up to 6th, but let's not forget, he did achieve that through staying out there. Let's see if that pays off for him later on.
Yeah, well, it all depends how deep they go, doesn't it? But once again, through wide, and in the background I saw Darren McKenzie, thought he was into the wall, but he wasn't. He just went very, very high, and he's right behind Matt Clayton at the moment. But I don't know where to look here. They're almost 4 wide as we see Braden Bateman at the 818 with Dylan Shepherd involved in there. Thomas Hinds, he's decided he's going to come to the party, and he's driving Matt Clayton up as well.
Yeah, look, we've got the 2 team OPR cars out there. Those guys are going to be on comms together. They're going to be working with each other. If they can, they're going to push and pull as much as they can to the front of this field.
Oh, there's contact 43s around, 818's involved in that as well. And we were riding on the nose cam there with Matt Cloak when that accident occurred. So let's jump back and have a look at this and see if we can unpack exactly what happened. We were with Matt Cloak there, and the 43s on the inside of the 818 as they come around, and the 818's turned him. Matt Cloak's helped him along there, and then of course it all breaks loose, doesn't it? As we can see in the background, looks like yet another purple car's involved. The number 1, that's Phil Otto. We've also got the 444 up over its roof. That was Craig Lawless, as he got all sorts of wrong there, and I think he was trying to do a bit of stunt car driving, but he just didn't keep it up on the 2 wheels.
Right. And look, I've just noticed, Bernie, Jake Blackall, starting with that bad qualifying run in 30th, has moved his way up to 11, yet has damage to the back of the car, so he's going to have to pit.
Wow, and we're just watching Craig Lawless there. He rolled that car probably about 7 or 8 times before it finally rested on the wheels, but that car definitely is going to need a fast repair.
And let's just hope for his sake, he doesn't have a motion sim.
Or VR.
No, that man's going to be a very unhealthy man in the morning.
Certainly will be, but Jake Blackhall, as you were saying, he has damage to the rear of that car. He's decided not to get it fixed at this point. He's decided it's far better to keep a fast repair up his sleeve. And I'll tell you what, after 21 laps, what are we up to? The 3rd pace car here tonight? It seems like we're getting an average of 7 laps racing around here.
It is. I mean, it's action-packed, but it's just murder on the nerves of the drivers.
Yeah, and the other cars also in trouble out there tonight, folks. The number 21, Jason Martin, rear-end damage in his car. The number 2, Josh Micklemore, also rear-end damage. Both of them deciding not to fix that car at the moment. I'll tell you what, Josh's car looks about a foot shorter than what it should.
And I've noticed that David Webb is a lap down, with Daniel down 2 laps now, Bernie.
Yeah, Danny G in the 13. He was the car we saw get into the wall. Not this caution, the one before. Also down a lap, Dylan Shepherd. He lost that lap because he was involved in that accident after he got turned around. And he comes into the pits. David Webb also down a lap, and he was involved in the previous skirmish. So a lot of guys here tonight, Danny. A lot of guys are feeling it.
They are. Look, this track is so rough, Bernie. Until you drive it, you won't understand. In real life, they've given it a repave. It's a lot smoother. But the one we have scanned here at iRacing, it is hard.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing that tonight, aren't we? And these guys, they know their way around a NASCAR. And we're just seeing quite a lot of guys struggling out here. But that always makes for interesting viewing, and a big shout out to all our viewers out there tonight. I hope you're enjoying RRTV's coverage, and we've got a lot of new guys out there. Sam Catacazino asked where the cars were. Sorry mate, trucks. I got the word right. They're trucks, mate. That's half the fun of me calling NASCAR, is the viewers get to pick all the things I miscall. which is always a lot of fun.
Well, I think we'll excuse you, Bernie. How many races do you call? How many different vehicles do you see each week? I think we'll let you go.
Well, I'm getting better. I'm actually calling it a pace car now instead of a safety car.
It is. And look, it is funny because we try to use the American terms, but at the end of the day, we are Australian. This is the ANZCAR series. If there's one series we can get away with calling it wrong, I think it's this one.
I think you're right. I'll go with that because I call it wrong all the time. But I'll tell you what, the safety pace car is now coming around. He'll come in. Dave Douglas is going to have control of this. It's got Scotty Harris on the outside of him in the 161. Out of second will be Scott Butler and Jeff Rayleigh. In the third row, Edward Foster and James Zeitz will start that as they come down the back straight. But it's interesting to see where Jake Blackhall is. He's going to be starting out of 14th in this restart. The guy he's competing with is one of them is Dave Douglas, who's up the front. He's sitting in third in points, and the other one is Jason Martin. And I'm trying to work out where Jason is at the moment in the group. There he is, 23rd. So he will be starting all the way down in 23rd, carrying a lot of rear end damage. So we're under green here now, and Scotty Harris and Dave Douglas lead the field.
And then we're followed up by Scott Butler with Jeff Harley right on.
Wasting no time going too wide there. We can see Edward Foster in the RRTV truck sitting there in fifth. As we go deeper though, it starts getting interesting. You can see the number 14, James Foster, at the moment on the inside of Norman Clark. Norman's been pretty unlucky in the previous rounds, and he's looking to get a good finish. We'll see how he goes. At the moment, Thomas Hines, he's defending from Rodney Maris, but then Darren McKenzie, Riley Curtis, and we are back under caution here at Kentucky.
Wow, this is just getting incredible, Bernie. There's going to be a lot of guys not happy out there. I see Braden is smoking, so I'm presuming he's one involved as well. That car is gone. He'd have used his fast repair. That's night over.
Yeah, just having a look at the replay here, keeping an eye on Jared Farrell and to see how this is unfolded. Oh, Jared Farrell into the 28. That's what started it on the tri-oval. Who's the 28?
Sam Ross.
Yeah, Sam Ross, big time turnaround. We'll jump back and have another look at that replay because it all started with Jared Farrell getting into the side of him on the tri-oval, but he has come back up on the track and collected a few guys. So let's have a look at this replay now. So Jared Farrell on the inside of him on the tri-oval spins Sam. Jared managed to go through the infield, but Sam always got nailed by Phil Otto. Oh, big time. And who's that? The 818 Red Bull Racing. He's decided he's going to get wings and fly, and he absolutely nailed him. So we've got Phil Otto in trouble. The other one, as I was saying, was the 818 getting wings, Braden Bateman. And we can see further back Jared Farrell into the wall.
Now, I've heard on the radio with Phil apologising to Sam Ross for it. Sam Ross accepting that with a good gentlemanly, not a problem.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I don't think Phil had anywhere to really go. We'll jump back and see if we can pick this up again. Let's see if I can. No, he's towed back. But when we looked at that replay there, Sam was sliding along the track and Phil got into the side of him at the same time Braden Bateman did. But I'll tell you what, Braden hit him hard and he actually got air.
He did. And look, the repairs that these guys, they get the fast repair. Had they used it, what are they going to do now? It seems that the guys that have stayed clean are the ones that are going to walk away with this tonight.
Yeah, well, George in the chat box asked if the 818's been in trouble earlier. Is that the second incident? I think it is, because he's not using his fast repair, and it looks like he's not going very far very soon at all, and I think he might even be out of the car at this point.
Well, that's why I called it earlier, Bernie. That car is done for the night.
Yeah. So you can just see his manager there, pit crew there, shaking their heads, wondering where to start. It'll be interesting to see if he gets out and they take it behind the wall, or if they pull the pin, or what they do. But we'll soon find out. Dave Douglas, though, he's keeping out of trouble, and I reckon that's the way things are going tonight. It might be safe to be right up in the top 5 and stay out of all this carnage.
But look, no surprise here, Bernie. Currently in second place, Jeff Brahali. He has come from 12th to 2nd. I think he's there for keeps.
He's looking good, isn't he? And Jake Blackhall, he's sitting down there in 14th, probably in dangerous territory, but not as dangerous as Jason Martin, who's all the way down here in 25th with rear end damage. He's decided, and it's probably a good move, that he's going to carry that damage as long as he can and keep that fast repair up his sleeve. Because as we've seen, we run out of fast repair here. We're 48 laps remaining, and lose that fast repair and you're done if you get involved in another incident. And from what we've seen tonight, they're averaging about 7 laps.
It is. But this is where the short track is also coming to play to work for a lot of guys. Remember earlier, Bernie, after the last safety, we had a lot of cars going the lap down. Now if we take a look at the list of the lapped cars, that list has slightly changed.
Yeah, well, it looks like Dylan Shepherd got the lucky dog. He got a wave by, but David Webb, Bruce Ross is still 1 lap down. Of course, now Phil Otto, he's not going anywhere in the 1. Braden Bateman, they have pushed that car behind the wall. They've called it quits. Danny G, he's coming back out in the 13. The 13's not lucky for him tonight, and he is like 3 laps down, pushing on.
Look, at the end of the night, Bernie, as long as he's enjoying himself, why not?
Oh, exactly right, and that's what it's all about, isn't it, this fixed series? And it's just so awesome that we're getting such a big field here tonight, folks. 37 starters, and you're right there, George, that was Phil's second accident in the number 1, and he's definitely paying the price for it now. The 818 we saw in that incident, as I said, has retired, but here we go. We've got the number 10 and number 71, Jeffrey Haley, and he's sitting as low as he possibly can next to Dave Douglas. He's waiting, and it looks like he's trying to create a second row. Now we're going Jeff Fraley there in the middle. On the inside of him is Scott Butler, and then we've got Scotty Harris going for the right.
And again, those 2 team cars, fast cars, OPR cars, are working together.
Yeah, you can see Edward Foster there. He's coming down on the inside of the 161. Then right behind him, we've got Fatouls and James Foster. And that's Edward's younger brother there on the inside. We know James is a very aggressive driver, and he's coming up now on his brother. But once again, we are under caution here. What is going on?
And look, I think that's Tim Fultz. He's just going to park that car, I think. I don't think he's very happy with the amount of cautions that we're having to see tonight.
Yeah, we're getting a lot, and we're having a look at Rodney Morris at the moment, back here in 24th position. He did have an off-track, and if you're wondering why we do this, folks, that's how I find the incidents. But we're having a look at him at the moment, just to see what's transpired. They're coming down the back straight here, and then something's gone wrong into turn 3. Jake Blackhall's in there. It's Jake's being turned around. That's what it is. The number 94 in all sorts of trouble there. He got turned around by Rodney Morris. Is he going to come up the track? He is, and the purple car, yet another one, just misses him. That was a 21. Let's have a look at Jake, because
The drivers are just going through the field now, asking each other if they could grab a look at the cars and see what damage is done.
yeah, so they're spotting for each other, are they?
They are, Bernie. Again, proof that a community races hard against each other, but pulls together. It's all friends at the end of the day.
It certainly is, and I tell you what, Jake Blackwell is having an absolute shocker out here tonight, folks. Down there in 28th, he got turned around by Rodney Morris. He was extremely lucky, though, that none of them nailed him, and he got away with relatively minor damage, but he's throwing tyres on that car now and to rejoin. And the 43, we can see he's also now coming out of the pits, and that is Dylan Shepherd, also having a trying night. You can see the 420 also jumped in, Wayne Taylor. He's taken tyres and he comes back out. One guy that's not coming out at the moment is Phil Otto. They are still trying to repair that car.
That's it. I think we're also, as we know, Braden Bateman in the 818 flew with his wings. Ian Ford has also disconnected. Tim Fultz and Jared Farrowell.
Yeah, so Kentucky's starting to bite, isn't it?
It is, Bernie. I'm like, at the beginning of these races, you know there's going to be yellows, but you hope it's only going to be a couple. It's enough to fix the racing up, make it exciting, but it's not a constant yellow. The drivers do get frustrated with the constant yellow, but as we know, caution breed caution.
You certainly do. And I tell you what, folks, this racing is a family fair tonight, and one of those families are the Foster brothers. We've got Edward Foster at the moment in 5th. He's got his younger brother James Foster starting right behind him tonight in the number 14th, the Walt entry. The other family we have running out here tonight, folks, Norman Clark in the number 4. He's actually got his son Roger Clark, who runs this series, in the 23. He's the one that got him into this style of racing. Now the number 9 though, he's all the way down in 23rd, whereas father is sitting up there in 9th. A little bit about Norman, Danny. He's from Africa, and he's done rallying in his day and quite a few other real world racing. Apparently he's quite an accomplished driver.
He is, and he drives for WP Concreting MFR. I actually spoke to the guy a few times. Very nice gentleman.
Yeah, and he loves his racing, doesn't he? And he knows his racing, and he's had a few bad runs tonight, but I reckon if the things line up for him, starting out there in 9th, we'll have to keep an eye on him.
We will. And another thing, Bernie, even though Norman's up there in 9th place and his son's further down the field, they're going to be in the same comms box. Even though he's further down, he's going to get the shout when the cars go a lot quicker than the guys around.
Yep, definitely. They'll be working together there, I'd say, but at the moment with Dave Douglas, Jeff Rayleigh here trying to get they'll go for another restart. Let's see if we can actually get some momentum in this racing going. Otherwise, it's going to be a very long 42 laps. Pace car lights are out. Dave Douglas will have control. Second row is Scott Butler, Scotty Harris on the outside. The Foster brothers at 5th and 6th. So Edward on the inside and James on the outside. Now, I asked Edward how these guys go. Do they play nice as brothers? And as you know the answer, I don't think brothers ever play nice.
No, brothers are just test beating dummies that get back.
And George Gibbs disappointed. He picked Phil Otto for the win tonight, but unfortunately that hasn't worked out. But here goes Dave Douglas again, sitting 3rd in the championship, having control of this race at 71. Jeff Rayleigh jumped straight to the inside to cut off that Scott Butler in the 94. Then on the outside is on have the 161 Scotty Harris. Then the Foster brothers are trying to work to catch these guys. Edward leading the younger brother James Foster in the 14th. Further back is James Wright in the number 19. Then we've got Thomas Hibbs, Darren McKenzie and followed by Riley Curtis and Norman Clark, dropping down to 11th on the restart.
And as we go through the field, Bernie, I can see there's a lot of trucks out there. The Star of the Night was a beautiful looking livery on them. Now they're looking quite second-hand and ordinary.
And we've only run 35 laps here at Kentucky, 40 laps to go. But at the moment, we can see James Foster, who got a good run on the outside there. He's hanging it on the outside with his older brother Edward there, and separated by a few feet. Now they give each other room. That's allowed the number 19 to close in on, and so is Thomas Hughes.
And I've noticed, Bernie, Sam Ross, under full race conditions, has gone into the pits.
That's
a lap down, he's going to go. That's it.
Yeah, that he's going to be buried here because they're lapping in 30 seconds, and we were saying before we went on air that if you go and pits under green, you're going to lose at least 2 laps.
And to be honest with you, the amount of cautions here, the only way you're going to get them back is by taking that run and staying out.
Well, exactly right. You're going to have to get wave guys. 38 laps to go. We're going to have 3 more cautions. But at the moment, James Foster's on the march. We've got the 161, it was at the 181, into the wall on the back straight here, and he keeps it moving forward. That was Scotty Harris. Very close call. But now the 93's got loose in front of him.
Will it be another caution? No, it looks like they've got away with it now.
Yeah, Riley Curtis gathers the car up and saves it from a caution. So we had a close call, 2 cars there, the 041 and now high on the outside behind the 444. And it's all happening down here and that's in 14th. But boy oh boy, they're racing for sheep stations back here.
Yeah, as we predicted, it's tight, packed racing. This is what happens on these short tracks.
Riding on the bumper cam there, Riley Curtis is getting a hurry along there by Ryan Colstack, and you can see Daniel Stevens there, Matt Cloak with a very beat up car, 3 wide, and tell you what, if you got a bit rubbed the wrong way here, you're going to get absolutely buried. But we can see now Jake Blackwell also working on the outside of Daniel Stevens. Jake Blackwell moves through and comes up to 17th position.
It is. They're just moving left and right. They're all over the place, Bernie. Everyone's fighting tooth and nail to that single car position.
Exactly right, and Jake needs to get up to where Dave is. He is on a recovery drive. He hasn't lined up for him at all. The other one to keep an eye on is Jason Martin. He's sitting up here in 11th, starting to make way moving forward. And of course, Dave Douglas, sitting 3rd in the championship, is leading this race with Scott Butler right behind him. James Foster also on the march here. He's up to 3rd already and defending from Jeff Rayleigh and James Zients.
It is. They know that there's going to be another caution. They're racing tooth and nail, trying to get those positions, make sure they're out the front and avoid that damage.
Yeah, that's where you want to be tonight, isn't it? You can see Zients now running very high. We know after 5 to 10 laps these cars do tighten up and they will develop a push, and it looks like Zients is running very high on the track at the moment.
And as we go through the field, positions to starting positions, those out the front, they've been right up there. They've maintained their position. We've got other cars throughout the field, like Jeff, currently 5th place. We go down 19 up to 7, 26 up to 10. These guys have really had a move on tonight.
Yeah, they certainly are, and we're getting a bit of momentum going on. We heard from Phil Otto's pit crew there. He's basically said he had absolutely nowhere to go in that incident, and he's dead right. Sam Ross was on the track field, had nowhere to go, ran into it. They're hoping to get that car repaired and back out to probably to use it more like a test run and get some miles under their belt.
And look, Bernie, someone I think we should take a look at, Darren J. O'Brien. Practice, 32nd. Qualified, 36 without a time. Look at where he's sitting now.
Yeah, he's up there in eights, isn't he? And he's in a straight truck. And that's a rarity here tonight at Kentucky.
Isn't it? Which pays, as always, the cleaner you keep your car, the more you're going to move up that field.
Yeah, and one guy that is moving up, just 2 cars behind him, is Jason Martin, up to 10th now. He's got Josh Carroll Walden just ahead of him, and he's making a move up. Jake Blackwell also on the march, up to 11th in clean air, and this is probably the first time he's had clean air for quite some time. And then, of course, further back, well, this is what he's leaving behind him, and this is 3 wide pack racing here. Back in 14th position, Daniel Stevens, the 93, Riley Curtis, Craig Lawless in the 444.
Now, taking a look at Jack Blackwell's car, he's fixed that damage. The last time he pitted, he got his pit crew hard at work, they fixed the back of the car, yet he still scraped it again down the right-hand side slightly. Now, he can't afford to damage that car at all. I doubt whether he's got any parts left on the shelf to fix that thing again.
No, exactly right. I'm sure the manager's keeping a very close eye on him and just coaching him through this and telling him that the truck's empty and not the truck he's driving, the spare parts truck.
I can well imagine Brenton O'Brien, his team manager, sitting back there watching, calculator on his desk, adding up those cost of those virtual parts.
I reckon he would be too. He's probably going to go and he's going to need a manicure if he keeps on chewing those nails as well. But at the moment, we're having a look at the number 77, Darren O'Brien. He's making a move on Jeff Rayleigh now. Jeff looks like he's moving backwards because he's down in 8th and he's starting to get monstered now by the 77. Edward Foster also in 53, also moving backwards here.
But as we predicted, Bernie, still, those top truck qualifiers, they're the guys that are still up there. They've kept out of this trouble.
Looking at the back of Darren O'Brien here, you can see.
Bernie, I don't believe it. Guess what's happened again?
Christmas is here.
No, unfortunately not. That would be a happy time. We're under caution once more. The yellow flag is out.
Yeah, and it looks like Riley Curtis has drawn one of the short straws here. Got Daniel Stevens on the outside of him. Let's unpack this and just see exactly what's going on. But Riley Curtis is involved in this incident.
And I've heard there, Thomas, glad for the caution. He's going and getting fuel he's called for.
Yeah, well, once again, Riley's been turned. He's been turned big time. And Daniel Stevens was the guy that turned him, and that happened on the back straight just before the start-finish line. So I don't know if Riley's going to be happy with that.
No, and I wonder whether Wayne Pengelly, manager and owner of MFAL Racing, is going to be having a quiet little word with Daniel tonight as well. That's a few incidents we've seen with him.
It is, isn't it? And we can see now, after that, we're still under yellow here, but the 93, he's coming back in to throw some tyres on, and you wouldn't you? Because those tyres would be flat spotted. The fortunate thing about it was he just spun and he didn't get collected or hit a wall. We could see also Jason Martin now, he's decided it's time to use his fast repair, which he's doing, and he's going to come out in about 6th position, just in front of James Foster for the race off pit lane. Or is it pit road?
Pit lane, I think, Bernie, for the trucks.
Pit lane, not pit road? Okay.
Now you've got me thinking. But look, what I haven't seen though, Bernie, right up behind that pace car, Edward Foster.
I'm trying to see that. I don't see Edward Foster behind the pace car. I see David Douglas.
I see David Douglas.
Yeah, no, Edward Foster's up there, but he's needing a wave by. He's 2 laps down. He's waiting for the lucky dog.
Isn't he?
So he will get 1 lap down. The other one is a number 13. He's right behind him. That's Danny G. He's 3 laps down. And then also the number 2, Josh Nickelmore, winner of last round on debut. He's now 2 laps down.
So how is that going to make this race unfold? With these slower cars currently up front, until those wave-throughs come through, we're going to look for more yellows.
Well, I think they're going to get a wave by now, aren't they? Well, the 13, Danny G, he's just flashed off the track, and he's going back to pit lane to take service by the looks of it. Or is he? I'm just trying to get a better view here on what's going on with the 13. No, he's just going very low. So what's going to happen here, Daniel? Are these guys going to get a wave by to allow Dave to lead this train?
Well, I can't see it happening, Bernie. Hopefully it does. But if it doesn't, the guys who are actually racing for position behind them are going to want them to yield and move out of their way as quick as possible. Those guys up there, they will be looking in their mirrors. They'll be knowing the leaders are going to want to come through. They're going to try and move out of the way as quick as possible. Let's hope no one makes a mistake.
Yeah, and of course, you know, being NASCAR racing, they do not have to yield. If they can stay out there and try and not go down yet another lap, but pace car lights are out now. They're getting the wave by. You see the number 2 going through the safety car, pace car, and 53's released, 13 number 2's also released. We can see the number 28 coming back up to speed, and that is Sam Ross. Sam is finally coming out 2 laps down, and Dave Douglas will have control of this race.
He will. That was fortunate. Those guys would be so glad that that was called.
Yeah, I think they'd be expecting it, but looking at the way these guys are going to restart now, we've got Dave Douglas on the inside, James Zeitz on the outside, second row Scott Butler with Thomas Hinds outside of him, or actually he's on the inside there. Then out of third row here tonight, folks, will be Jason Martin and James Foster. Things are messed up here.
Right, the way I'm reading it is Thomas Hinds in third, Scott Butler in fourth, Darren McKenzie in fifth, Jason Martin in sixth, James Foster in seventh, Jake Backel in eighth, Joshua Carroll Walden in ninth, and our top 10 finishes with Darren J. O'Brien.
Once again, total folks. Dave Douglas goes for James Wright in second, number 4, and also Thomas Hinds. And let's see how we go. So you can see now Jake Blackwell working on the back of Darren McKenzie here as they go 3 wide. Number 2, Jason Martin up high, and all of a sudden the cream's starting to rise, isn't it? Jason Martin and Jake Blackwell there trying to get back up front where Dave Douglas is actually top 3 in the points.
Exactly. These guys are going to want to stay out the front, stay clean, look after that car. It's the only way they're going to get anywhere.
Well, exactly right. And having a look in the cockpit here with Jake Blackwell at the wheel, and you can just see him finessing that wheel, working very hard on that wheel, it must be said, and he's just trying to gather Darren McKenzie up here, and yeah, he's definitely earning his money tonight.
That track, it is like being in the paddock. Those paddocks that you've been out in the bush, Bernie, they're full of ruts and holes, you bounce, you bump along. That's what this track is like. These guys, with this high force feedback, they'll be starting to feel it.
Yeah, exactly right. You were saying a few guys are using OSW direct drives wheels out there, and they're going to start getting muscles. But we're on the gyro cam here now of Jake Blackwell as he's on the inside of who is that? Jeff Rayleigh. But you can just see how much this car's moving as they're going through the corners. It
is. It honestly, as I said before, it shakes, it bumps. It's hard to keep focus.
You can definitely see Jeff Rayleigh now you can see how much his car is moving around as it rides those bumps, as you were saying.
And unfortunately, as the cars move around, if it gets a little bit loose on them, that's what's going to be causing these yellow problems.
Yeah, well, we must have run almost 7 laps now, so caution will be out any second based on our statistics, but at the moment...
And there we go, you called it.
Sorry, folks.
So, do we put that down as commentator's curse, or do we ask you for next week's Win Lotto numbers?
It depends who is in trouble out here, because it looks like Jake Blackwell has brought out the yellow. Just having a look at this, he's got the 71 in front of him, he's behind Darren McKenzie in the 75. So has he done this all by himself? No, it wasn't Jake.
Look, I can see Dylan Shepherd has dropped right down the field.
Okay, so let's jump back to here and see if we can... where is Dylan?
Dylan's currently showing for me in 27th place.
Yeah, it was Dylan. We've let's have a look at this. So he's got the number 08 on the inside of him, and that's a CMS entry. Too wide. Daniel Stevens is behind him, and the 444, so 0843, too wide still as they go through the trioval. And oh yeah, Dylan's come down onto the nose of the 08, and that's turned him. He's trying to gather it, and the 08's now loose. Daniel Stevens is probably the winner out of this. Oh, look at him working that wheel. He's just trying to hang on to it, but he's just not going to recover this truck. My goodness me, what a ride. Oh, he nearly gets caught up in the... and we can see all the guys now going left and right to avoid Dylan Shepherd, who has managed to bring it to a halt, but sitting the wrong way in the middle of the track. And of course, he doesn't have a say in this, does he? Because once these trucks get loose, you're pretty much a passenger.
Exactly. Look, he tried. He moved that wheel. He worked his throttle. He tried to keep hold of that car. No way did he want to be collecting anyone else, the wall, and causing another yellow.
Yeah, you could just see him there on the replay in slow-mo. You could see him working that wheel left and right, just trying to get that truck under control, but no matter how hard he tried, once those trucks get that tank slapper up, you're pretty much, you've got a hope in hell in controlling that. So Phil Otto's manager in the pits, they reckon they've still got 5 minutes of repairs to go on that truck, but they are hopeful of getting him back out, and can just see them there at work, the invisible pit crew working hard. 53's also in, that's Edward Foster, throwing some tyres on that car. Yes, he's going for 4, and out he goes. I'm so hopeful when they bring out the update with the pit crew animations that we'll actually be able to see that. Now, wouldn't that be special?
It would, but as they say, Bernie, coming soon.
I'm picking it's going to be the next update. Now, if I can predict yellows miraculously, maybe I can predict that as well. Or maybe my magic powers only work on the dark side.
Well, look, could you dark side over to iRacing and get that on? We're all waiting for it.
I probably could.
I've had a few questions from guys actually worried that will they see other cars' pit crew? Will that help block the vision of their own pit crew? How hard will it be to find their bay?
I hope so. That would be super awesome.
It would, but I think unfortunately we're only going to see our own pit crews.
Yeah, I would say so, and then that's a matter of we won't see it as a spectator. I'd just like them to be able to turn it on for the spectators to see all pit crews and the drivers to see only theirs.
Wouldn't it be great? And how much more confusion would it add to every driver if they could see it, trying to get into those pit boxes?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. It'd be like real life.
People will be overshooting their bays left, right and centre. We'd probably end up seeing one of those two guys that we all know reversing down pit lane because they've missed their bay completely.
Exactly right. And 14 laps remaining here. Now the question is it a sprint to the end, or are we going to see another pace car come out? But I tell you what, looking at the laps led here tonight, we're on lap 61. Dave Douglas, he has to be a favourite. He has led 49 of those 61 laps. Now the guys that are after him, James Zeitz will start on the outside of him. Then we have Thomas Hinn, Scott Butler as pace car comes in. But keep an eye on Jake Blackwell and Jason Martin. Jake out of 8th, Jason out of 6th. Here we go once again in Kentucky. Just got to love the sound of caution. There you go.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
Oh, the number 99, that's Brian James Jones in trouble out there. Let's jump back and have a look at this restart.
The drivers are not happy out there, Bernie. They are telling each other maybe that wasn't the right calls to make.
Yeah, well, Brian James Jones knows it's not, because he's heavily into the wall there, and I'm trying to get the other car, the 67's Bunning entry, Steve Catalano, also involved in that. But basically it all started because I think Brian just got it a little bit high there, and we'll have another look at it. To me it looked like he had a slow restart, and they went 3 wide, and he's just moved a little bit too high and come together with the 67.
That was a hard hit.
So I can see the 43 there. Yeah, there could have even been contact there between the 43, and that's bounced Brian up into the 67. And yeah, it was a huge hit, wasn't it? Straight into the wall.
Drivers are still discussing that, really.
I can imagine they'd be very, very frustrated, because every time this happens, basically their temperature rises, doesn't it? They want a long green flag run. They are not getting it here at Kentucky, but what we are getting is a lot of action.
And you know, there's not going to be every driver out there that's actually not going to be happy about this, Bernie. Think of Dave Douglas. He's out the front. He's stayed clean the whole time. The more laps under caution, although none of us like to finish caution under yellow, it's going to get them closer to that line, and it's going to be a mad lap dash. He's loved the win for him.
Yeah, another guy that is absolutely loving this is Josh Nickelmore. He's now had yet another wave by. He is just 1 lap down, so he's probably praying for another safety car. Should give another shout out. Phil Otto's rejoined this race in 36th position, 38 laps down, but we should give a shout out to his crew. They've got that car back out, and hopefully he'll see the checkered flag here tonight.
Well, he certainly hopes he doesn't damage again. That crew's going to have nothing left.
Exactly right, and I tell you what, the people up the front, the Riley Curtis design number 10, driven by Dave Douglas, he's in the right spot, isn't he? Because everyone else behind him are having problems. If we see where Jason Martin is, he has made no hedgerow in that restart. He will still start out of 6th, and Jake Blackwell will start out of 8th. So a bit of statistics here, folks, for you to see where your favourite driver is. The guys that are 1 lap down: Josh Mickelmore in the number 2, Danny G, Brian James Jones and Sam Ross. They're all 2 laps down. Then we look at our retirements: Nicholas Crawford, Jared Farrell, Tim Fultours, Ian Ford 2, Braden Bateman have all retired from this race. Steve Hoppett did not make the race, and Phil Otto, he's 39 laps down, but he stands to gain a few positions here. Not many though, because he's so far back.
Yes, there's not a lot he'll be able to really do from here.
No, all he can do now is pick up the pieces, and he should pick up about 4 positions if he runs to the end, as he passes all the other DNFs in front of him.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, consistency counts. You need points. It's better to have low points in a round because you finish laps down rather than leading and finishing with no points.
So I hope all the viewers out there are enjoying our coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder. It's definitely delivering as far as action goes, and yeah, we've got 9 laps. Question is now, do we go on the dark side? Do I predict we're going to finish under yellow, or do you think we're going to get 9 laps of sprint racing in here?
Look, Bernie, I'd like for it to be 9 laps of sprint. But my gut's telling me those guys who are back there, they've been fighting for single positions all night. Why are they going to stop?
Oh, exactly right. It's, 9 laps to go. I know what happens in NASCAR. This is how much I know it. When you get down to 9 laps to go, everyone just says, play nice, no more contact. Let's settle with what we've got. I think that's how it works, isn't it?
Look, no, not at all. NASCAR have actually created a bit of an atmosphere of, if I send him, I get that position, I make it through to the next round.
Yeah.
But fortunately, oh, here they go, Darren.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a check-up further back in the field there. Dave Douglas sort of balked. Now he's underway. Good start up front. He's got the 19, James Zides, sitting next to him. But Scott Butler, Thomas Hintz, side by side going for it. And then further back we have Jason Martin, Jake Blackhall on the high line, Darren McKenzie, Jeff Rayleigh's in there, James Foster very high also in the top 10 here.
It'll be interesting to see. It's just it's after this race, but we know already. Start up the front, you stayed up the front. But how many of these guys who started right there down the back will be up?
And we're riding here with James Zides in second, up 3 positions. He's starting to work the inside of Dave Douglas. He's decided this is the time to try and take the lead. Dave Douglas led 56 of this race, and all of a sudden James in the 19 has decided he wants to try and take the win from him. But of course, he's got Scott Butler and Thomas Hintz, who also are trying to snatch this win. Looking further back, Jake Blackhall, he is not making inroads. He's sitting back there in 8th, and Jason Martin has only managed to make 1 position up.
Look, I think what we're going to see here is the guys at the front, they're going to be happy with their position. They might not risk it for the biscuit, but it seems these guys mid-pack and beyond, they're in for the war.
And we're riding with Martin now. You can see him just on the inside of the 52. That's Thomas Hintz. He's starting to make that move. The 94 now on the inside of the 19. 5 laps remaining. Dave Douglas has a firm grip on this race.
They're not afraid to go 3 or wide if need be out there, are they?
No, they're certainly not. And we're just keeping an eye on the front here, folks, because this is where it's at with 4 laps remaining here at Kentucky. See down the back straight now, 3 wide, 59, 94, and the number 21. So that's Jason Martin now working the low line. Thomas Hinds comes across, snatches third from the 94. 3 laps remaining here.
Bernie, I've heard it. Jeff Brahali out of fuel.
What?
He's run the car out of fuel.
You're
he
right.
must have taken a big risk, and it's not paid off for him. He's got to be gutted.
Yeah, he's just limped it back, but meanwhile the action is aplenty up here. We've got Hinds on the inside of Scott Butler. Jason Martin, he's getting involved in this. On the high side is James Lights. He's been hung out to dry. Darren McKenzie, he's also come into play. And we've got 2 laps to go.
Well, I can see it in the mirror from here. Dave Douglas, big grin, ear to ear.
Zeitz slows. Zeitz has slowed. He's dropping positions. I'm not sure what's going on.
He's got into the wall, Bernie. He's tagged the wall on his right-hand side. Look, it's the trucks. We can only turn left. You turn right, you're gone.
I'll tell you what, one person who turns left very well is Dave Douglas here. He's got a firm grip of this race. Huge lead. He should take this win from Scott Butler in the 94. Thomas Hinds, though, he's got a lot of work to do because he's in the battle with Jason Martin. But jumping back up front, we can see as they come through the tri-oval, the win, round 9 here at Kentucky, is going to go to Dave Douglas.
He celebrates as he crosses the line.
Absolutely fantastic, and I tell you what, if he did not win tonight, he would have felt like he was robbed because he led 63 of the 75 laps.
Exactly. Starting out from 3rd position, he's brought it home in 1st.
So you can hear the fireworks, folks, and I always jump into the blimp to hope we get them, but we're going to have to get fireworks, Cam, I think, because it definitely went off tonight, didn't it?
It did. And look, I think we also need an in-truck temperature gauge. Times throughout this race, the temperature would have been soaring. Those drivers were so hot under the colour with all those yellows.
Yeah, we can see now Dave Douglas doing the burnouts here on the start-finish line at Kentucky. I think he's on the start-finish line. Yes, he is. As he burns up the road, probably gets the virtual checkered flag. I think that's a tradition, isn't it?
Yes, yes. He'll be looking into that virtual crowd at those virtual grid girls waiting to give him the celebrate kiss.
Yeah, waiting for the virtual kiss. But now he's bringing it back into, where do they go from here? Victory Lane.
They go through to Victory Lane from here. But look at that field. Look at the move we've had from 30th place.
Yeah, Mr. Jake Blackhall finishes 6th position. So let's go through the full results here, folks, so you can see where your favourite driver finished. And it's going to be interesting, Daniel. Who do you reckon is going to be the biggest mover here tonight?
Well, look, Bernie, I reckon 1, 2, 3. I'm going to call it Darren J. O'Brien, 36th to 8th. Okay,
well, let's find out. So let's bring this up and have a look at the full results. So up 2 positions was Dave Douglas, led 63 out of the 75 laps here tonight. He was unbeatable. Scott Butler comes home in 2nd. He was up 5 positions. Thomas Hinds up 3 positions to finish in 3rd. Jason Martin, he was on a recovery drive tonight, wasn't he? He led the other 12 of those laps and he comes home in 4th. Jake Blackhall, he started down in 30th and up 25 positions to finish in 5th. Wayne Taylor comes home in 6th. Darren McKenzie 7th. Darren O'Brien, you called it here, 28 positions and finishes in 8th position. James Zeitz hits the wall, unfortunately, with a couple of laps to go. He does survive for 9th. Scotty Harris, he comes home in 10th. Ryan Kolstad 11th. 12th is James Foster.
Now, what's this going to mean to the championship?
Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because coming into the championship, if we bring this, see if I've still got it. if we can bring this up, and then we'll go back to the rest of the results here. Basically, coming into this, we had Jake Blackhall leading on 328 points. Jason Martin in second, on 271. Dave Douglas on 253. Dave's won tonight, so he's going to be moving on. Jason Martin beat Jake Blackhall tonight, so he's going to be moving up. So this is going to compress, I would say.
It is. It's going to make the next race, starting to get down to the wire for this series, very, very interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they're definitely delivering tonight. But going through the rest of the field here, folks, keep an eye on plus 28. That's your biggest mover at the moment. But Roger Clark up 22 positions. Great drive in the 09. Come home in 13th. 14th was Bruce Ross. Daniel Stevens comes home in 15th. Edward Foster pretty much finishes where he started in 16th position. Stephen Williams comes home in 17th. Craig Lawless 18th. Norman Clark up 14 positions to come home in 19th. Matt Clote, he dropped 11 from where he started to finish in 20th. Joshua Carroll Walden finishes in 21st. 22nd, David Webb. Steve Catalano, he comes home in 23rd. 24th, and dropping 20 positions, is Riley Curtis in the number 93. And we'll continue through the grid here. Dylan Shepherd, he actually gained 3 positions from where he started and finishes in 25th. Josh Micklemore drops 24 to come home in 26th. Jeff Rayleigh, 27th. 28th, Rodney Morris. 29th was Danny G. Then we had Sam Ross come home in 30th. Brian James Jones home in 31st. 32nd, Nicholas Crawford. Phil Otto, he must get the cheer award tonight. You know, they could have thrown in the towel. They did not. He got out there 18 laps down and comes home in 33rd position. 34th, Jared Farrell. 35th, Tim Fultuz. Then Ian Ford. We're into the retirements here in 36th. 37th, Braden Bateman. And Steve Hoppert, well, he did not start the race. So you did call it there, Daniel. And basically, Darren O'Brien is the biggest mover, but who's the biggest shaker?
Well, Jake Blackwell. That guy's done an excellent job. We can't look him out.
Oh, he's done an awesome job. You know, he was pretty much defending since on a recovery drive, wasn't he, since qualifying when he put it into the wall hard, and ever since then he's been trying to recover. But we have a lot of guys in the green room waiting to come up. Let's bring them all up and have a bit of a chat. So the first person we will bring up, let's have a look at our results here. And should we work backwards or should we go straight to the winner?
Let's work backwards.
So I'd say the first one to bring in then would be the number 93. Would that be correct? That's Riley Curtis.
Yeah. Yes.
So let's bring Riley Curtis up and have a bit of a chat. Hi Riley, welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate. And just didn't look like it was your night tonight, starting out there in second, but getting into a bit of strife and finishing in 22nd.
Yeah, I surprised myself in qualifying by getting that far up the grid because I really struggled in practice, and then decided to pit when I did, and I got tagged in one of the wrecks that was out there. And unfortunately got unloaded a few laps later, which put me to the back and never really recovered.
Yeah, we saw that. There was a little bit of unloading going on out there as the guys got together. But from where we sat here in the air-conditioned combox with a nice cold drink, not rubbing it in or anything, but it looked pretty rough out there. Is that how you saw it as well?
Yeah, it was pretty tough going. Once I got dropped to the back, they were really fighting for sheep stations, some of them. And I came off on the wrong end of it, unfortunately, but it was an awesome race. Good track.
Yeah, it looks pretty bumpy as well. Daniel trims up here with me, and he was saying that this track is quite bumpy. Is that how does that go with the truck? Does it ride the bumps really well, or does it make it a bit hairy?
The setup that they give you to run here, I think, handles them quite well. I didn't find it getting too loose over the bumps. It seemed to hold its own pretty well.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm going to hand you over now to Daniel and see if he's got any more questions for you, Riley.
But I want to know, mate, how is it in that truck when you're hitting so many cautions? What's going through your mind?
Yeah, there were a few cautions tonight. You trundle around for a while and end up a little bit bored almost. But green flag runs are certainly where we want to be. It's just really builds my nerves, if anything.
Now, we noticed a pattern tonight. Every 7 so laps, the caution was coming out. What do you think was causing that pattern?
I think just people, if you get a truck underneath you on this track, you get a lot of push, and I think a few people were washing up into the wall or up into others and spinning them down the back straight.
Overall, driving standards, your point.
Up the front, it was quite good, I think. Every race is going to have some questionable moves, but that's racing.
What do you think? Everyone's walked away with a smile. We know you haven't. We know you had a really rough night. What do you think about the others?
I think my teammate Dave's going to have a pretty big grin. But overall, I'm happy with the speed I showed when I was up the front. It's not the worst night I've had here.
Well, look, that's not the worst night. You've got to walk away happy.
Yeah, I can't complain, but I won't.
Did you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors, Riley?
Yeah, I'll plug myself again for doing the paint jobs for Dave, and he did a great job getting our truck to Victory Lane, as well as Ash Media Speedway footage, CapSafe and Speed Cafe.
Fantastic. Yeah, Dave was unbeatable tonight. We're looking at the statistics. There was only 2 drivers that led a lap here tonight. Dave Douglas, your teammate, led 63 of those. The only other driver to lead a lap was Jason Martin. He led the other 12. So, I was saying on the telecast, if Dave hadn't have won that race tonight in the closing, 8 laps, he would have felt like he was robbed.
Yeah, definitely. He was saying over the radio a couple of times that he was hoping to win, and a bit of touch wood going on. So, yeah,
well, we'll hear from your teammate very shortly. But until then, mate, I guess you can go and start packing up those transporters and get ready for next week.
Yeah, thanks again for the awesome coverage tonight, boys. It's always a pleasure joining us in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you up here, mate. But hopefully next time you'll be further up the grid in the finishing lineup.
Yeah, hopefully. I enjoy Charlotte, so I guess I'll see you there next week.
Yep, looking forward to it, mate. See ya.
See you later.
Have a good one.
Oh my goodness, Danny, you were aggressive there.
I wanted to know. I wanted to get him firing up. He's a good racer. Anyone that gets hit with those sorts of questions, keeps their calm, they're a good racer, Bernie.
All right, and that's Danny Trim, folks. Debut tonight. Well, your debut was last night, but I tell you what, you're hitting the straps here tonight. So let's bring up our next driver, and we can put him through the trim treatment. And who will that be? That will probably be Mr. Jake Blackhall, coming home in 6th. I think I'm going to let you, I might throw him to the Lions, let you start this interview.
Okay, well, let's hope he's not listening, because he will be forewarned. G'day, Jake. Well done tonight. Are you with us, Mr. Blackhall?
Hey, yeah, sorry, guys.
What a night. 30th to...
That was a chaotic night, wasn't it? It was, it didn't go well in qualifying, not going to lie. I did a good time, but it didn't count, so I was a little bit annoyed with that, so just kept doing laps just to see how the race pace went. But, I focused more on the championship before coming into this one, which I usually don't this early, and it always does. It always bites me, and it did tonight.
So I'm going to give you the same questions we're going to give all our viewers tonight. The yellows. What's going on in that cab of that truck when under yellows?
Absolutely nothing. Actually, more than nothing, to be honest. I'm more, especially for myself, I'm figuring out strategy, figuring out where my championship rivals are, to be honest. Obviously, I got Jason Martin sitting in second. Dave Douglas with his win would have closed him up to a little bit, then to Jason as well in third. So it's more seeing what they were doing. I knew my strategy from pretty much to go out, usually pit on the second caution, then try and even it out from there. But that's sort of where my head's at. Besides that, just trundling around.
Now, driver standards tonight. What's your point on them?
I can't really say much. I got involved in an incident with a truck that hit the fence up higher, then actually went down low, and caught myself and spun myself in a front bumper of another truck. But besides that, I haven't had a look back. There was a couple of little incidents where I think could have been avoided, but it's NASCAR. A lot of these guys haven't run a lot of it. Some have, so they're going to be. You can race them tight, but a lot of people are coming in each week, just struggling, trying to figure out how they race and what they do.
Look, the series is growing. Now, we noticed a pattern tonight. Every 7 or so laps, the yellow's coming out again. What was the cause?
It's one of those points where you get into that rhythm. It's sort of the start of where the tyres, you lose that edge grip. You 5 odd laps with the new truck tyres. It's where I'm sort of finding you lose that initial edge grip, but then you start to lose it. People are now having to change their braking markers, lifting off. Some people are obviously then running a little bit too deep through the middle of the corner because they're expecting to have a little bit more grip. So I think that's sort of what it is. I think it's just a round of people not adjusting to what the grip that they've got underneath them, and that's ultimately what causes most of the incidents. So I think once everyone adjusts nicely to how the grip level changes over a run, then we should see less of it.
Now, how were you on your fuel tonight? You said before that you under these yellows, you were thinking through your strategy. Did the amount of yellows help you at all?
To be honest, the third to last one, I can't remember which last one it was, actually hurt me. I was good to go, and I knew everyone else had to pit. We had that little bit of a green flag run. I think it was a 10 and 12 odd lap run that we started to have there. I think it started to touch 15 laps. I was actually good to go to the end. I don't think a lot of people around me were, so I was hoping it stayed green, but the caution came out and sort of hurt that chance. But besides that, yeah, it was all good from there.
That's good to hear. You certainly moved up the field tonight, mate. Well done on that.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Over to you, Bernie.
Fantastic. Well, Jake, congratulations on surviving the grilling from Danny Trim up here. And I tell you what, we were watching quali, and I said you normally start deep in the field and work your way up, but I didn't think you were going to start that deep. And we saw you into the wall there. After that, it was pretty much recovery all night for you, wasn't it?
Pretty much from the word go, wasn't it, Bernie? It was qualifying is not my strong suit. It never has been. I don't think it ever will be. I can work at it as much as I want to, and whenever it comes to qualifying, I just make a mistake or I don't get exactly the time I want out of it. So, tonight really hurt me. And then from there, it was just recovery. I avoided that first incident, then caught myself up in my own incident. From there, it's just recovery. But I can't complain when you finish one spot behind Jason Martin, so you only lose 1 point to him, so you still got a big points lead, and then Dave Douglas won, and I think I would have lost 5 points to him. So, to be honest, it's actually not a bad recovery drive.
No, it's a fantastic drive, and you're definitely under the pump from the start, but you've come home in 6th position, and as you said, you've recovered a bunch of points, and kept this championship lead of yours alive by the sounds of it. Yeah,
it's now. You guys get bringing up the points and everything. I actually looked at it after the last round and sort of went, didn't realise it was that big. But and that's what happens. Unfortunately, Jason Martin missed the round at Mosport, so that obviously helped with the big lead. But coming home 1 spot behind him, only lost 1 point there. Then Dave winning, only lost 5 points there. He was in third, so not a bad evening.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're the media, so we're always going to bring up the points and try to sensationalise it because that's what we do.
That is exactly what you do, and I do the same thing as a commentator as well, so I know how it is.
Exactly right. So anyway, Jake, well done, mate. Up 25 positions to come home in 6th, and a great recovery drive. But before we let you go, do you want to give a shout out to all your sponsors?
Yeah, give a quick shout out, obviously, the Evolution Racing Team, Logitech G, Joel Brill Timing, GTI Springs, and Asher Racing for all their support this year.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to Charlotte next week, mate, and we look forward to seeing you up there.
Hopefully it's not starting down outside the top 10 next week. We'll see how it goes. Thank you, guys. Well done.
No worries. See you, buddy.
See you, Jake. Well done.
So the next person to come in for a chat, that is Mr. Thomas Hinds, and he had a good run tonight, didn't he, Danny?
He did. He's another guy. He moved up a few spots. You know, his race wasn't perfect. You know, whose can be all the time, but he started out in 6th place, moved up to 3rd.
Exactly right, and he brought that GoPro truck up onto the podium. So let's have a chat and just see how he felt his performance went tonight. Hi Thomas, welcome to the RRTV Combox. Congratulations, mate. Started out a 6th tonight, coming home in 3rd. Nice solid drive there, and you're in the thick of the action. How did you feel your performance was tonight?
Hi, and thank you, Bernie. Yeah, no, it was good. Bit of a shame in a way that we got battling over that second so hard in that last stint, because I feel like I had the pace to possibly have a shot at Dave maybe, because I was kind of figured it out in the last kind of probably half the race. I was realising I kind of figured it'd be the way, because the way the track is at Kentucky, especially once tyres where it's actually better to be on the outside to make passes. So if you go down the inside, usually it's really hard to make a pass. I was finding anyway around here, just because of the way the track is and the way the tyres were in these trucks. So in that last half, pretty much every move I tried to make, I was going to the outside, because I knew if I went the inside, I was probably going to end up losing more than anything else. And that's how Jason there at the end, he was up my inside a couple of times trying to get by, and he just couldn't do it, because on the inside there you just don't have the grip or the run to hold on. So just tried to use that to my advantage and make some moves where I could. Slowly moved forward throughout the race. I think I started 6th, so I was up there, got a good jump, jumped to 5th and was holding off the back. And just kept it clean really. I think I pitted on the 2nd caution from memory, and that seemed very interesting. Those first couple of cautions were very up and down with who pitted when. We had a bunch of us pit the 1st and a bunch in the 2nd, and it was a bit strange, and everyone was on different strategies for that race, but it all made a lot of fun. Just kept it clean, made the moves where I could, and got through the end. And in the last caution, the last green, last little sprint there, I was aiming to try and hold onto a podium if I could, maybe try and go for the win. Just got a nice, again, decent jump, held on to 3rd just about, and had a really, really nice battle with all the guys there, Scott, Jason, James, Jake, everyone in there. It was awesome stuff in that last little bit, tossing over that 2nd, and I was just happy to hold on to the podium. And big congrats to Dave. He just was unstoppable all night, just held track position, held onto the tyres. He was just fantastic all night long, so thoroughly deserving victor here. I had a lot of fun and happy to get the 3rd, because it's I think it's my best result in ANZCAR so far, so hopefully can roll on with that.
Yeah, fantastic. And we heard before the show that we were told anyway that these cars were going to get tight after about 5 to 10 laps. Is that your experience with it tonight?
I'd say it's pretty correct. It didn't take long. It's sort of as per usual, really, when you're with not obviously every track, but a lot of tracks like Kentucky where you're lifting off into the corners even when you're in quali trim. Usually they drop off pretty quick because the amount of pressure that's going on those outside tyres. That was definitely the case. They probably, about 5-6 laps, they lost their initial bite, and they just kind of petered off slowly, and it was just about trying to manage them and keep them alive. And I've noticed recently I seem to do all right at keeping the tyres alive and just conserving them a bit and not pushing into corners too hard. So I was kind of hoping there'd be some good green flag runs, because I thought they would sort of suit my strengths better than raw pace, because I'm generally not the best in raw pace. But we had a couple of green flag runs that I could sort of exploit that, but probably not as many as I'd hoped. So considering there's a lot of the shorter sprint stuff that I'm probably I wouldn't think I'm as good at, especially in oval. I'll definitely take the third, and to be up the top a lot of the time.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to hand you over to Mr. Danny Trim here, and I tell you what, he's hot when he's on the track, but you wait till you hear his interview skills, mate. You're going to leave here in a sweat.
Bring it on.
G'day, Thomas. Well done on third.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions for you.
All right.
Let's start with the big one.
Ooh.
Driving standards. What were they like out there tonight?
Yeah, well, okay, go for the big one straight up. All right. Yeah, no, I thought they were pretty fine, really. There was, I had the bobble, and I was trying to look on the replay, but my replay wasn't letting me actually look at it that far. But the caution about lap 20, I think it was, or lap 19 or whatever, around that period, I got on the apron there and had a little moment. I'm not sure if I caused it completely, but I think I may have contributed, because I think Braden saw me sort of have the bobble on the apron. He sort of went a little wide to dodge me and got up into the guy above him. So I feel like I probably contributed to that a little bit unintentionally. So apologies for that to everyone affected. But generally it was fine. I thought it was really good, especially around Kentucky. It's a really difficult track, especially when the tyres start wearing. A lot of people pushing really bad through the corners. There's quite big speed differences. So with that in mind, I thought the driving standards weren't too bad. But there were a lot of cautions, so I'm guessing there was a lot of spins, all that kind of thing, but I didn't really see them, so I couldn't really probably be the best judge on that. But from what I saw, there was a lot of really good moments throughout that one.
Okay, now, those yellows, did they help you? Did they hurt you? Also, I want to know, while you're in that truck, in those yellows conditions, what's going through your mind? Are you happy? Are you frustrated? Are you thinking strategy? What are you doing?
Well, I think, as I sort of mentioned before or alluded to, I think cautions generally probably aren't too good for me, unless it's a track that I haven't quite got the grips of how to conserve the tyres yet. As I said, I think raw pace and short sprint wise, I'm not quite as quick as a lot of the other guys up top, and I usually get back into the fight when those long runs happen, when I look after the tyres and can keep the lap pace for longer periods. I'd say no. That usually help me. And during them, I guess strategy a little bit, but probably I just zone out. Just use them as a bit of a break, really, more than anything else. Obviously, don't run into people, of course. Be aware of people around you, so you don't run into anyone. But generally, I just kind of have a bit of a relax and rest the mind a bit during those periods before we get right back into it after the cautions.
Okay, now one more for you.
Yep.
You started in practice. Your time you did was a 30.86. That had you in 19th position. What are you thinking in then? Are you thinking, tonight is my night, I'm going to be on the podium? Were you holding back? What were you doing?
A lot of the time in practice, I sort of take. I'm not too concerned with where I am. It was the same at the last round, which I've already forgotten where it was at. My mind is everywhere. But the last round was the same thing. I was down in something like 20th, 30th in practice. I didn't qualify too well because I forgot to. I didn't change the steering lock, and turned out having a more responsive steering lock was better than what I had it. And so I didn't learn that until the race starts. So, but anyway, I don't usually. I sort of look at that and go, that's cool, but I'm not too fussed, because a lot of the time those guys will set those really quick times in practice because they'll be behind someone doing some drafting and that kind of thing, or practicing battling or race pace, that kind of thing. So it always looks a lot more spread than it usually is because of that. So it's always a bit hard to judge, I find anyway, for me in practice, for where you really are. So I wasn't too concerned. I thought, so hopefully I'll be sort of thereabouts. It'd be good. I was pretty happy with my consistency. I thought my race pace would be good, which is the main thing. Then when I qualied and was up in the sixth, I thought, well, that's good. I was hoping for maybe around low teens would be good, but to be sixth, I was like, yep, sweet, that's better than I thought, awesome. And then race all panned out, got the podium. So I probably wasn't expecting a podium at the start of the night, but to get one, it's really be happy, and hopefully get another one for the end of the season if I can.
Well, thanks very much, mate. I'll hand you back over to Bernie.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, fantastic, Thomas. The final one is just give a shout out to your sponsors and team tonight, mate, and then we'll let you go.
Yep, no worries. So the usual Race Centre GTI Kearney, big thumbs up to them for supporting the team. Always very much appreciated by not just me, of course, but everyone else on the team. Also Waxit as well. Shout out to them because I run their livery we've got for the Commodore for the official series on Monday, which was awesome stuff. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we might be running it tomorrow as well for one of our teams in AOS Season 0, so look out for that. Big thanks to Waxit for their support and being able to show off the awesome livery we had made for them on the V8s. And yeah, then as always, big shout out to the team for just being awesome in general, awesome environment to race in, and just fantastic people. And a non-related to the team but personal shout out to GoPro. Get on to contacting me. I can give you some good support here, GoPro. Just a little hush, Get on to me and I can give you some support. But anyway, yeah. So there you go.
I was going to say GoPro better contact you because you're pretty much giving them a lot of airtime. Any chance that we might see you retire the GoPro livery and come out with one of your team liveries on this truck?
Well, to have that happen, we're going to have one made. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Sean. If you want me to move on from the GoPro, he's going to have one made, and then I'll run that. But until then, no, I'll keep the GoPro until that happens. But hopefully we'll get one made. I might even actually bring it up to Sean. Reminded me, and I might see if we can get him to maybe do one. Because if so, I'd definitely race that. But until then, GoPro for the win.
No worries. See you, mate. We'll see you at Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you. And again, sorry.
Sorry. I was just going to say good night, mate, and make sure you tell Tomo that no skin is his fault.
Legitimately this time, yeah. And thank you guys for the broadcast as well as always. Awesome stuff, and I look forward to the next one probably tomorrow for you, Bernie. So good stuff as always.
See you, mate.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, thanks for hanging in there. And now we're going to bring up our race winner, Dave Douglas. And I tell you what, he was under a bit of pressure tonight, but can he come under the Denny Trim pressure test? That is what we're about to find out now. As Denny, look after him. He is our winner. I don't want him leaving with a frown on his face, all right?
We'll make sure he walks out with that big grin. I'm sure it's still from ear to ear, Bernie. We won't kill that on him. G'day, Dave.
Bernie, Daniel, how are you, mate?
Look, we're pretty nice and happy up here, but I doubt whether we're as happy as you tonight.
Yeah, mate, pretty pumped to get the W. Drove pretty hard there towards the end. Actually switched off the relative and the lap counter and just drove to the next flag.
So, mate, cautions. A lot of them tonight.
Yeah, there was a fair few. We did have one good green flag run in the middle, but to be honest, because of all the cautions, there wasn't really so many green flag laps, so I just stayed out. I just let them keep going, Pete. I just stayed out. And then we got the green flag run. And the problem is I had 8 laps left of fuel, and I was begging for a caution, and a bit of luck involved. Jagged the caution and was able to lead the pack from away again.
Yeah, you certainly did a good job out there, mate. Look, so many cautions. What's going through your mind while those cautions are running?
I love the strategy of motor racing. So I'm constantly looking at key players, seeing where they are, checking laps, basically talking with Riley, my teammate. We've got our own channel where we sort of discuss strategies there. But really, to be honest, just checking out where the key runners are and driving around in a circle.
Well, you turned left very well tonight, we got to say.
Yeah, no, that's it. Lightning McQueen says you got to turn right to go left or something like that. Luckily for me, I didn't have to do that tonight. It stayed straight. It was on rails tonight. It was really good, actually. Felt really good.
Mate, speaking of turning right before left, what was the cautions for? What was driver's standards like?
To be honest, I didn't see much of it. Luckily, it was all in my mirror. I guess the field size has grown massively, which is great. But tonight, I can't sort of judge on it because I didn't see any of it. But I guess going off last week, I don't know. It's hard to say. There's a few guys having a red hot go and don't know sort of the limit. And then especially a track like Kentucky and Chicagoland last week, where if you get sort of mid-turn and the air gets taken off the nose of the car, you get a lot of push. and a lot of guys sort of just keep the throttle into it, I guess. But anyway, that's racing.
It can be. Now, when you went out tonight, did your strategy have to change? Were you thinking there's going to be safety car city, or were you thinking it's going to be a green run all night, maybe one or two?
Honestly, I thought it would be a little bit less of a safety car procession. My strategy originally was, obviously I got to start sitting third. I thought I'll just follow the two guys in front, and then one went in the pit. I didn't go in. I thought I'd stay with Jason. He stayed on the track. And then the next caution he went in. I thought, oh, I'll just stay here. And to be honest, that's just what I did. I just stayed there the whole night.
Now, when did you know you were going to bring it home?
As soon as I heard him say 2 laps to go, on that last restart, I knew it was about a 7-lap run. I'm not exactly sure, but I know they sort of got close to me, and so I just tried to hit my marks. Really just looked out the front window, and basically when 2 to go, I looked up in the window, in the mirror, and I could see them sort of 2 wide, fighting for second basically, and I thought, yeah, right, this is on, we're on here, and yeah, all worked out.
Now, the championship, have you been keeping your eye on it?
Always a sneaky little eye on it, mate. It was funny because I jumped up the third the other week, and then I jumped straight back down to 6 or something like that, and then back up the third again. So, but I'm a long way off the guys in front, Jason and Jake. They won't be touched, but third's good enough for me, mate. I'll take that.
Look, mate, you keep getting up in those positions. I think that's going to change come the end of the season.
Yeah, we'll give it a good crack in the Toyota Tundra. I think we got Charlotte next week, which is it's not too bad of a track for myself. So we'll go out there and give it a good hot crack.
So, speaking of tracks, surface, what was it like out there? There was a lot of laps. Fortunately, not a lot of hard racing because there was a lot of cautions. But how was it like over that surface?
Yeah, it's a funny track. I sort of, once I got in the groove, I was fine. But it's almost a double apex, depending on which way you go. And you can come in sort of fast and slow off, or slow in and fast off. And but once you sort of get that balance in the middle, which, to be honest, I thought I'd buggered up my qualifying lap. I somehow ended up third, because there's just that transition from sort of letting it roll into the center and then getting back on the throttle. And if you get back on too early, you're in the wall on the outside. It's pretty tough, actually.
So, how did that setup go throughout the laps? Did it drop off? Did it tighten up? Did it get loose? Let the viewers out there know what it was like to steer that truck.
Oh, mate, like I said before, it was on rails tonight. To be honest, it was a dream. When I didn't have to battle anyone, it was good. As long as I sort of hit my marks and stayed in that line that I sort of picked to run earlier, and when I was in practice, I thought, yeah, right, this is it. And then I had a couple of guys sort of come up to the inside and try to take it away, and I knew if I could keep them on the inside of me, I'd still have the higher ground and just drive off down the straights. And that sort of plan was a good outcome, I guess. But to be honest, I learnt that off Ryan Shelton in the practice. He was sort of running that line, and I tried to pass him so many laps, and I just couldn't get clear. So cheers to Ryan.
Yes, Ryan Shelton from South Carolina in the US. He's the actual resident spokesperson, I guess. He's been to the tracks. He's seen the layout. He's felt the bitumen.
Yeah, no, it was a good help actually on Tuesday night when we did that practice, and he sort of gave me a few tips as to how to brake into the corner, whereas I wasn't braking, but it definitely helps to brake.
Yes, he was teaching you to set your bias to the rear, rotate that back end, power out of those bends.
Yeah, pretty much. I just asked him if he was braking. He said very lightly, and so I sort of just tried it, and really you just use it to get the car to turn a bit, and then it's just that transition back to the throttle from then.
Yes. Now, we know Ryan, as we said, he's the NASCAR nut. He also drives in the V8 Supercar Series. What other cars do you drive, mate?
I do a couple of series with the V8 guys. Usually just mainly the official series. I've seen yourself in a few races and a couple of the other guys that we race with here. So, but I don't know. I'm a bit of an oval man myself. I love the NASCAR. So
That's good to hear, mate. You certainly do it well.
Excellent. Are we done? I want to go to
I think we've grilled him, Bernie.
I was going to say, I want to go to bed. No, well done, Dave. Basically, I really don't have any questions for you, just a few comments. One was there's only 2 cars that led tonight, and the first one was Jason Martin only led 12, and you led the 63, so congratulations on that, mate. I was saying towards the end of the broadcast, if you didn't win tonight, you would have gone home feeling like you were robbed, I think.
Oh, mate, it would have been filthy. Like I said, there was a bit of strategy, a bit of luck as well with that green flag long run and then getting the yellows. So, yeah, like I said, a bit of luck, but worked out.
Yeah, and of course we're off to Charlotte next week. And how do you go at Charlotte? Are you looking forward to it or not?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be all right. To be honest, Riley, my teammate, he's a bit of a gun there, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But Charlotte's more probably looking after your tyres. But we did the Tristo 300 there. It had a good run, but just got loose in one of the late green flag runs to the flag. So we're on the run. But yeah, no, I'm usually pretty good there.
Fantastic. Well, you've done your championship campaign good tonight, I guess you could say. Taking the win, that's what you needed to do to try to close that gap on Jake and Jason. So it'll be interesting to see next week how those points shake out.
Yeah, definitely. At the moment, just pretty pumped to get the win. So we'll see how we go.
Fantastic. Well, we'll let you go, mate. Go and celebrate with your team, and it's definitely a well-deserved win. So congratulations from us up here in the Combox.
Yeah, cheers, Bernie, and thanks, Daniel.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.
God, when I said grill him, I didn't mean barbecue him, man.
Well, again, Bernie, I want to know how these guys, how they act, not just in the car. I want to see how they handle the pressure outside of the car.
Yeah, well, you're definitely doing that. We'll have to start a new segment called Danny's Barbecue or something. I don't know. We'll work something out for next fortnight, I'd say.
Well, look, it's always good. It's you see how these drivers react to these sorts of questions, how they get them put so directly. You can see how they translate that across to their car. You can see when stuff happens in front of them, how they react, whether they keep cool, calm, and collected, or whether they just end up binning it and putting it into the wall.
So what we're going to do next time is we're going to get one of the guys that have binned it and put it in the wall. You can grill them, and we'll see if they throw the chair at you and walk out. How's that sound?
I think that sounds like fun. I reckon the viewers should enjoy that as well, Bernie.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to get some coverage of that with some cameras. But anyway, folks, looking at the week ahead, tomorrow night, of course, we've got the Australian Online Supercar Championship, the Silverstone 650. Starting pretty early, we're looking at a 7:45pm GMT plus 11 start time. And I'll be joined in the Combox by Weehan Chan and Daniel Leet. And I'd say for that race, we're probably going to need a few swap overs of commentators, but it'll be a lot of fun to end the work week. Then, of course, to see the weekend out on Sunday night, we've got the Australasian Super Skips back on RRTV. It had to step aside last fortnight because we had the Tristo 300, but they will be back again Sunday night. And Kevin Henderson, I think it will be joining me in the booth to call all that action. But Danny, of course, mate, second time on the com box. Of course, you called it last night with me, the Pro Mazdas. Of course, you're at home with your NASCARs here. How did you feel you went before we look at the scoring, as in scoring how your performance went?
Well, Bernie, as with everything when you're with you just make it easy, mate.
Don't
it's such
suck up.
No, look, it is. It's such a good, easygoing place to be up here in the comms box with you. It's commentary is something I've never thought of before, and I saw you put the call out, and I thought, well, we all get benefit from these broadcasts. Put up, give something back. So I thought I'd offer my services to you, having no idea, and hopefully people aren't too, oh my God, that guy needs to shut the heck up. But yeah, you've made it great, mate.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you've enjoyed your time up here. Of course, you'll be back with us probably in a fortnight, if not sooner. Hopefully, we will have Ryan Shelton calling the action with me next week. And, of course, very early start for Ryan. He's coming from South Carolina, and, you know, the poor bloke has to get up like 5 in the morning or something crazy to call the action of this series, so we really appreciate any time he puts in. Of course, as we were saying earlier, Ryan lives in the heartland of NASCAR, and he's been to a lot of these tracks, and he brings a wealth of knowledge to the Combox and to the rest of the community. So if you're watching out there, Ryan, big shout out to you, mate. We'll catch up next week. No doubt he probably isn't watching, because it's probably breakfast time over there, 7 o'clock.
Yes, it would be. In actual fact, I spoke to Ryan today. He was practicing his Aussie slang.
All right, well, we'll put him to the test next week. What do you reckon?
I reckon you'll have to.
Okay, I'll have to, we'll come out with some real corkers for him and see how he copes with that. But anyway, Danny, driver of the night, mate, who do you reckon you'd pick?
Oh, look, Bernie, I think it's obvious. The move from all the way at the back to so many positions up the front, who we have to give it to.
Well, you tell me.
I've closed my results.
Okay, Darren J.
You've caught me out.
The biggest mover tonight was Darren J. O'Brien, wasn't it? Up 28 spots, I think it was. And, of course, Jake Blackhall coming from the rear as well, up 25 positions to come home in 6th. So I'd be looking at those two as far as the recovery drive, but as far as controlling the race, I reckon Dave Douglas. He pretty much led 63 out of the 75 laps here tonight.
Exactly. And look, we spoke to him earlier. He was planning on what he was going to do. When those other cars dove in, he stayed out there. He hung out there, made sure he kept his car at the front, kept it clean. It paid off in the end. Yeah,
it certainly did. My statistics say here he didn't actually pit, but he would have had to. There's no way he could have stayed out there for 75 laps. But he kept the car clean, he kept it out the front, kept it out of trouble, and he went home with the Gold Cup. So he'd have to be one of the driver of the nights. But of course, big shout out to Jake Blackhall, Darren J. O'Brien as well. Awesome drive by him. We saw him earlier tonight as he was coming through the field, and he was one of the only straight cars out there. And he drove a very nice, clean race there tonight.
He did. And look, I think we actually have to say well done to all competitors tonight. That track, the way it's configured, the way the surface is, so many yellows, everyone actually drove really well tonight. We've interviewed the drivers. We asked them what it was like out there. Overall, it was a really good race. Everyone raced well.
Yeah, they certainly did. But anyway, folks, that is the end of our coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder. Round 9 coming to you from Kentucky Speedway. Of course, next Friday or Thursday night, we're off to Charlotte for round 10. And if the Tristo 300 was anything to go by, I think we're going to be in for some good racing. But until then, folks, on behalf of Danny Trim, I'm Bernie Weemers. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have your company again tomorrow night, but if we don't, have a safe end to your work week and a relaxing weekend, and we look forward to your company again very soon. Good night.